Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Daniel Whittington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. Let's talk about sleeping. Sleep matters. I say, having only had about 5 hours of sleep last night. Maybe that's why it's a little more prescient for me. At Wizard Academy, we do multiple day classes. Our whiskey class is 2 days. Most of our business classes are 2 days. Our magical world of communication is 3 days. We almost never do a 1 day class. That's a Wizard Academy event. It's usually always at least 2. And the reason for that is a couple of things. One, we have often too much that we've got to jam in. We're going to try to put like a semester of college into 2 days. So we need more than 1 day. 1 day is never enough to get through the whole thing. But actually, there's two other things that are even more important. One is the sense of community that you get from waking up and going to bed in the same group of people for a couple of nights, hanging out into the evening and at meals and relaxing, not knowing you don't have to get in the car and drive and head home. It creates this sense of community and connection in each little class, and that's very powerful. But also, and very practically, when you sleep, your brain holds on to ideas better. And very often in day one, we will throw a whole bunch of stuff down, and then you'll go to bed, and then you'll wake up with a different understanding of day before, and then we build on that. And we cannot do that in 1 day. You have to sleep beforehand. As you sleep, and this is not neuroscience, this is a layman's interpretation of what he's read in neuroscience. Fair? As you sleep, effectively, your cognitive left brain, most of it, not all of it, sort of dampens and quiets, and it leaves room for your right brain to start doing all the pattern recognition and placement of today's information. So you've had all these experiences, you've learned these things, you've smelled and tasted and seen, and then you go to sleep, and there's a part of your left brain that never goes, and that's the part that like wakes you up if it hears an intruder in the house. It's sort of the lizard brain that's like keeps you from going too far. And there's 4 layers to sleep, which we'll talk about in a second. But in general, it quiets down, and the lecturing control dynamic of your brain quiets, and your right brain goes, let me start sifting and weighting and placing, and oh, we learned this today, that actually fits over here. We learned this, and I wasn't sure what, but now that I've had time to think about it, if you flip it this way and turn it backwards, it connects here. And then you wake up, and you often have this moment that you might describe as like, Eureka! I have the answer to a question. And the reason is because while you were asleep, your brain sort of sorted, sifted, ditched, and lost, and then connected the things that you brought in the day before to your pre-existing historical memories. And so all of a sudden you wake up and you see where an idea fits, or you see a puzzle piece come together and you see the whole picture all of a sudden for the first time clearly. That only happens if you introduce sleep into your cycle. We don't really know a lot about sleep. We don't entirely know why we need it, but we know what it accomplishes. It's still kind of a mystery, which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun that even in this era, we still have basic functionality of life that is at some level a mystery to scientists. I kind of love that. But let's talk about Compass Box, and then we'll come back and finish the sleep story. This is just curiosity discussion day. Crimson Casks. So this is part of the new core range of Compass Box, one of their 4, which is what? Orchard House, Nectarosity, Crimson Cask, and Peat Monster. We did Orchard House. I saw this one on the shelf. I realized we didn't have a Crimson Cask in the vault. So I was like, done, Crimson Cask. Let's put it in there. This is their Sherry Bomb exploration of sherry from the lens of Compass Box. And there's a lot going into this blend, which I will pick up and read because it's so... Oh man, I had a realization. I'll tell you about it in a second. Dark chocolate, cherries. It's just chocolate covered cherry. It is musty. A slight spent match in figs. A dry earth and tannin. It's jammy. It's jammy. That's the best way to describe it, I think. It's jammy. But chocolate dipped jammy, a little bready, a little oak. Cheers to you. Slight spice on the nose, but I can't tell where it's coming from. Oh, Compass Box. You do my heart good. I needed that today. Oh, they put spicy and intense on. Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to figure out whether the spice was coming from the like slight fainty notes that come with sherry cask, or if it's coming from the oak, giving that slight, oak tannin, oak spice. I think it's more of the oak that I'm getting in the spice, and the sherry's providing all of the balanced, rich, deep, fruity things, because the spice that I'm getting is this sort of like cloves, cinnamon, sort of wood spicy note. I don't know that to be a fact, but what I love about them is if you look them up, you can find out all kinds of information about what's in this bottle that they disclose on their very helpful infographics. Rich oil unrolls. Just a thick fudge-like density and jam. Just heavy jam and sweet fruity. I love that. If you want sherry, that's delivering on all levels. Let's look at their breakdown. So they have this sheet, which I'll hand to Mike, and maybe we can scan it or something. Yeah, okay. And they break it down by percentage of what's in this blend. And a little known, not everyone knows this, but if you count the rings, it'll give you the age of the whiskey that was in that, from that parcel. Interesting. Now, I will tell you, I discovered... So I was in a tasting last week for SMWS. That's how early we are shooting ahead right now. By the time this comes out, it'll be a month later. And I was looking at the small print on this info sheet that I had printed to lead the tasting. And I was like, there's no way. That's just... They printed small print. It's just, I think it's because I got a PDF and it was a shrunk version and I didn't get the high res version. And so when I printed it, it printed really small and I tried to read it and I was like, there's no way. And I was like, can anybody, and Emma was sitting in the front of the room and she was like, let me see if I can read it. And I was like, there's no way. The print is just infinitesimal small. And I handed it to her and she read it. And that's when I realized I need glasses. For the first time in my life. I have 20/20 vision. It turns out I still have almost 20/20 vision. And it turns out nearsightedness has nothing to do with 20/20 vision, which I didn't know, because I've never had an eye test. I've had one eye test my entire life, and I was a teenager. And that was like 30 years ago. And I haven't had one since. And I have had no problems, including reading up close. But all of a sudden, for the first time, and I don't know when it happened, because it couldn't have been overnight, everyone I know, all my family has glasses. I've always bragged about not needing glasses. I'm good, I don't need it. And then I picked it up, and then I was standing there having this like existential crisis, and somebody in the audience very generously was like, here, take these. And they passed forward some reading glasses they had. And I was like, there's no way. And I put them on, and it was crystal clear. And I went, son of a, I can't believe it. And so I went and got an eye test this last weekend. Yeah. I need like the first level of reading glasses, basically, and I have a like slight like 3% stigmatism, something or other. I don't even know what that means. But now here I am. I printed this, and I'm trying to read it and going like, I can, but like I gotta hold it at a distance and catch some light reflecting from the camera. So this one that was a long story. This is Tanninic at 6%, Glenmoray at 5.8%, distillery near the town of Aberlour is not Aberlour at 26, almost 27%, a different batch of Glenmoray at 19%, the Ben Rhines distillery, and another batch of Glenmoray at a different percent, 11. Ben Rhines is 14.5. And then another batch of the distillery Nor Aberlour at 8.4%, and then their Highland Malt Blend leftover parcel at 7%. And the age statements on these is really interesting. I think this one ends up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. Good Lord, we're talking 20s. I gave up when I lost track of the tiny little infinitesimal rings. 20s. There's some really old whiskey in this stuff, and really good whiskey. It turns out. And actually, I don't know if all the rings is the age or if the ones they color in is the age. I don't know the answer to that question. 2, 1, 12, 34. Okay. Yeah, it might be just the ones they colored in. I think that's what it is. Okay. Anyway, there's some decent numbers on some of these parcels. After I've let it set, it gets even more chocolatey and even more fruity. I was waiting for like the malt to call for it or some of the floral notes, but it's just dense desserty. Jam-filled fudge. Cherry chocolates. Ah, it's beautiful. Okay, let's talk sleep again. Research suggests that the best time for you to learn something and retain it in sleep combination is to immediately after learning something, follow it with sleep. And like as quickly as possible. Almost take a nap almost, as some of the studies showed. If you don't, like if you're a student or young and you pulled one of those all-nighters, it turns out the worst possible thing you can do for your brain and to retain information is to not sleep. So if you studied all the night and you looked at your books all the way up until the 10 a.m. test, and then you went and took the test, you're going to be worse than if you had studied half that time, gone to sleep, woken up, and did a quick scan refresher. Every study proves this. So while you sleep, your brain cycles through different phases of sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, and then REM. REM, actually, you're more active. So there's 3 stages of sleep. The first one is I'm starting to, like, that's time to sleep. And then there's 2 levels of I'm actually starting to slip into sleep. That's 2 and 3. And then 4 is REM. And REM, actually your brain wakes back up a little more. And that's when it starts providing material for dreaming and stuff like that. And this is all in a loop that's like 90 minutes. Just, it kind of cycles through. All the non-REM stages seem to prep you. The REM doesn't, but all the non-REM stages seem to be the ones that help you assimilate all of those things you've learned and studied and thought about. If you haven't slept, your ability to learn new things drops almost in half. It's like 40%. Get some rest. Get some rest, kids. There's a bunch of studies. This is a well-known study. It's not only once, where they took 2 different groups, and both groups, they taught some information. One of them, they immediately followed the information by letting them sleep, take a nap or go to bed, and then wake up and take a test. And the other group, they taught them everything and then made them take the test. Every study that has done this, and there's a bunch, all of them have shown the test group that slept does better, full stop. The test group that slept goes better. This is why we do multiple days of classes and let you sleep. This is how you retain, memorize, and hold on to information. On a really interesting side note, there's research that suggests that sleep gives your brain the chance to basically do a chemical wash of toxins in your brain. And if you don't sleep, toxins build up in your brain. And when you go to sleep, there's like a chemical flush that happens that sweeps out toxins. And it's one of the reasons that you can go back crazy with, that's why sleep deprivation is an actual torture. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. I hope that you learned that you need your rest, and you learned a little bit about why we do multiple day classes, including the whiskey class here at Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. Cheers to you. I'm really glad you're here. Don't binge watch The Whiskey Vault. You need to like and subscribe so you can consume it in bite-sized chunks surrounded by reasonable amounts of sleep.